Hi everyone, welcome back to JDCodebase. This is our LeetCode Top Interview 150 series, and in this video we will solve LeetCode problem 169 majority element. This is very important beginner problem because it teaches us how to think about frequency, counting, and different ways to approach the same problem. So let's get started. So let's understand the problem first. We are given an array called nums of size n, and our task is to return the majority element. Now, what is majority element? A majority element is an element that appears more than n by 2 times in the array. One very important thing given in this problem is that the majority element always exists in this array. So we do not need to worry about the cases where there is no answer. So let's understand using example. Our first example is the nums array 3 to 3. The here 3 appears 2 times and the array length is 3 and n by 2 is 1. So since 2 is greater than 1, the answer is 3 here. And in example 2, the array is 2 2 1 1 1 2 2. So here 2 appears 4 times and the size of array is 7, n by 2 is 3 and 4 is greater than 3, so 2 is the majority element. So the idea is very simple, count and compare with the n by 2. So now let's quickly look at the constant. The array size can be up to the 50,000 and the value can be very large, both positive and negative. And again, the problem guarantees that a majority element will always exist. So let's start with the first basic approach, brute force. The idea is very simple. For every element in the array, we count how many times it appears. If the count becomes greater than n by 2, so we immediately return that element. This approach is easy to understand, especially for beginners, but the problem is we are counting again and again, which makes it slow for large input. So here is the how brute force algorithm works. We use one loop through the with the index I, and inside that we use another loop with index j, and for every I we reset the count to the 0, and then we compare nums of I is equal to nums of with every element in the array, and if they are equal we increase the count. If at any point the count becomes greater than n by 2, we return the that element. So let's move to the LeetCode and write the code, brute force code in JavaScript. So if first define the let n equal to nums dot length, and then start a for loop, the outer loop one, for let I equal to 0, I smaller than n, I plus plus, and in this loop set a counter, let count equal to 0, and start a inner loop for let j equal to 0, j is smaller than n, j plus plus. So here this inner loop is used to count how many times the current element appears. Like if nums of I is triple equal to nums of j, then count plus plus. Else means if both elements are equal, we increase the count, and after finishing this inner loop we check the count. Means if count is greater than math dot flow n by 2. Wait. And if it is means if it count is greater than math.flow n by 2, then return nums of I. So if we return the element immediately, so let's run this code. Yes, it passed both the test cases, and but here issue is the time complexity, because here the time complexity is the big of n square, and because of two loops the space complexity is big of n, there is no issue because we are not using any extra way. This approach is not recommended in interview, but it is good for understanding. So let's move to the better approach using the hash map. The idea is very straightforward. we store the frequency of each number in a map. As soon as the frequency of any number becomes greater than n by 2, we return that number. So let's write the code for this. Let's say, let me remove this. So here let map equal to new map, and after that start a for of loop for let num of nums, and inside the loop we set map dot set num, and here map dot get value of the num. If it is 0, either 0, else we increment by 1. So if the number is already exist in this map, we just in the map we increase its count, otherwise we start from the 0. And after that we check if map dot get num is greater than math dot floor n divided by 2, same as previous one, and if they are equal, then means greater than the value, then just return this num value. As soon as any number crosses this n by 2, we return it. So let's run this. Okay, I forgot to write the define this n. N is equal to nums dot length. So let's run again. Yes, it accepted both the test cases, and this solution is much faster than as compared to the previous one. But the time complexity is big of n, and space complexity is big of n, because we are using a map. This is very common and safe interview solution in the JavaScript language. And so now let's look at another simple approach using the sorting one. If we sort the array, the majority element will always be present at the index n by 2, and this works because the majority element always appears more than half the time, as mentioned in the video in the problem statement. So let's write the code. In the JavaScript we have the sorting method by default. For that nums dot sort and a comma b and a minus b. This is by default method in this JavaScript. And after the sort in the ascending order we return nums of math dot floor and nums dot length divided by 2. So let's run this solution. Yes, it passed both the test cases. Let's submit the, because this give the middle element from the array. Yes, so the time complexity in this is the big of n log n due to the sorting one, and the space complexity depend on the sorting algorithm, and this approach is simple but slower than the hash map. So to summarize this, let's compare all these three approaches. First, brute force is slow and not interview friendly because the time complexity is big of n square. We are using two nested loop, and space complexity is the big of one. There is no issue with that. And in hash map, the time complexity is big of n, which is fine. But the space complexity is the big of n. We are using an extra space this map. And in the sorting algorithm is simple but slower than the hash map because the sorting takes time, and the space complexity is the bigger one. There is no issue with that. And in interview, hash map or the optimal approach is preferred. So that is for this video. If this explanation helped you, please like the video, subscribe to JDCodebase, and continue with the LeetCode Top Interview 150 series. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.